Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. You're watching 60 Cycle Hum, and this is the second episode in the Afford-A-Strat series of videos brought to you by Xavier. This is the series where I compare budget strats that I found on the internet, I pick a winner, and then I ship out the losing budget strat to someone who jumps through some sort of hoop, some sort of internet contest I cook up at the end of this video to win that guitar. Also, you'll win a 3-pack of Xavier strings and their maintenance kit, which I'm gonna use to set up each new guitar so that it will be the same setup as the previous guitar. In the last video, it was the Eart versus the Monoprice. I still have the Eart here. That means the Monoprice lost. In this video, I've got an Xavier guitar from guitarfetish.com, GFS for short. I've been curious about these, and they had a really fun color, and the price was perfect for this. I've been trying to hit right about 200 bucks for the Afford-A-Strat, and I think this was like 180 before shipping. GFS nails you on the shipping. I think after shipping and everything, it was like 230 bucks or something like that. I'll pull up the receipt and flash it up here. Nicely packed. Probably much better packed than the other two Afford-A-Strat so far. Just by way of being double boxed. Look at that. There's my receipt. $231 when it was all said and done. All right, here we go. Big reveal. Comes with a wiggle stick, of course. Can you tell what color it is yet? Ooh, yes. It is a nice misty metal flake gold. I'm not gonna pick which guitar wins based on the color, but come on. You know I like that. If you're gonna buy a cheap guitar, it might as well be fun to look at. And this is fun to look at. I don't hate the headstock at all. They went for a bulb on the end, which is nice. It's a little bit, you know, ovaled out versus the round fender bulb that I know they wouldn't be able to get away with. Bridge looks cheap, but still has some version of a punched saddle. They're chromed, so it's not steel. It's some cheaper metal, I'm sure, that has been chromed. I don't expect the, chrome saddles like that to last aesthetically too long, but I'm sure they'll be fine playability-wise. Let's put the wiggle stick in there and see how it fits. It's one of those shorter and very bendy wiggle sticks. Like really dramatic angle right there. I like a longer, straighter wiggle stick on my strats. Fits in there very nicely. Nice and firm. It's not the more modern Wilkinson style bridge that you find on the Eart, but it is nice that it fits in there snugly. Let's take a look at the other details. The fretboard radius looks and feels pretty flat. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a 12-inch radius on here. Interesting. Same kind of cheap plastic I found on the back of that Monoprice guitar. It's not pickguard plastic. It is this textured, almost like Tupperware cutting board style plastic. The frets look like a similar wire size as what you would find on just any Mexican Fender or Squier. It's not a big modern jumbo, but it's also not, like vintage and tiny or flat or anything like that. Some kind of finish glued onto the 5th fret there. I'm sure I'll be able to scrape that off, but a little quality control issue there. The frets feel fine on the ends. They're certainly not that super rounded mirror ball in like you find on the Eart. The nut is some kind of plastic. I feel like I could dig a groove into it with my nail if I tried hard enough. Closed back tuners. Of course, everything comes with those now. I would be so surprised if I got a guitar and it didn't have modern sealed tuners like that. It's been a decade or so since it was the norm to have like the old school like trapezoid tuners on a cheap guitar. All right, let's get it tuned up and get some first impressions on the sound of it. Uh-oh. I just went to plug it in and the washer and the nut completely fell off of the jack. Oh man, there is a quality control issue. All right, I'm gonna have to fix that before I can even plug this thing in. That is a new one. I've never had that happen before. New guitar out of the box, and the input jack isn't even connected with the washer. It was just barely floating there. But I don't judge these based on how they come. I judge them based on how they play and sound after a setup. A basic, simple setup that anyone could do at home, really. I'm not doing anything that, you know, you need to be a professional to do. The bridge came floating a little bit. Is this guitar going to need some help to stay in tune? I'm going to stretch the strings a little bit. Oh man. It's having a tough time with tuning. I think the tuners aren't the problem. They feel fairly firm. There's a little bit of a dead space in them when you're going one direction and then back. Like it takes a second to re-engage, which can happen with cheap tuners. But going one direction, they feel firm enough that they shouldn't be slipping out of tune. The strings are a little bit high in the cowboy chord area. I'll have to do a measurement against the Eart to see if that is really an issue. But sometimes if your strings are too far off the fretboard because the nut is cut wrong, you can actually go out of tune in the cowboy chord area just by fretting your chord, because you're putting pressure on the string and actually bending it out of tune, and then you'll be confused because you'll be out of tune up here, but then you'll be playing down here and you will be in tune, and it can be very frustrating. I don't know if that's what's going on here, but it's a suspicion. Oh, now the arm's starting to get a little droopy on me. There we go. One more turn. All right, let's check out the pickups. We've been on the bridge. Very, very bright. Ooh, that's very bright. Which shouldn't be too much of a surprise for a Strat. There's the middle position. Here's the number 4. They get plenty dark and warm on that 2 and 4. I can tell out of the box, it's not perfect as far as the setup goes. I'm going to want to spend some real time dialing in the action, maybe check the truss, the intonation, things like that to dial in this guitar. The Eart came set up really nicely, too nicely honestly. It was too flat. So I actually increased the action to get a little bit more play on the strings. I don't like a super fast shredder style guitar. I like to, I like to press the string down a little bit. I don't want the guitar to do all the work for me. I don't think it's not the most horrendous setup ever, but yeah, I think it could be better. I still have the golden and the starlight pedals here. I know they're not exactly Afford-A-Board. Get a little bit of reverb in here. Oh, that's definitely out of tune now. All right. Time to do the setup and the string change and everything. And then I'll spend some time playing both guitars on the couch tonight, getting used to both of them, comparing the two, and then check back in later in the video to tell you which I think is better. Ooh, nice big block on this. Kind of got your flaky sort of route that is pretty normal to find in cheap instruments. The Eart is the outlier in that department. Might as well take a look under the hood while we're here. By the way, the D'Addario maintenance kit has this convenient little magnetic patch right there, perfect for grabbing screws. Oh. It's got that quick connect system for the pickups. So this is the GFS pickups in it that have the quick connect. That's kind of fun. It's got a tiny little like headphone style plug out the back of the pickups. Of course, if you want to swap in a non-GFS pickup that doesn't have that quick connect, then you're going to have to just redo everything normally. But if you do swap in other pickups that have that quick connect, easy peasy, no soldering required. Otherwise, you've got full-size pots here. They're unmarked, so I have no idea what their specs are. Some kind of generic closed selector switch. I'm sure it's fine. I'm back a full day and a half later after recording the first part of this video anyways. But yeah, I've spent the past day and a half playing both these guitars back and forth in my office, on the couch, when I'm watching TV at night with my headphone rig and stuff like that. I've been making lots of little adjustments to get this dialed in just the way I want it to be. I'll talk about what I did setting it up since I time-lapsed through the vast majority of that. Obviously, I made adjustments to the action and the intonation on the bridge here. I swapped in the same set of strings that I have on the Eart, so the strings are matching. When I put on the heavier strings, I had to adjust all the saddles forward just a little bit. I was actually pretty impressed how close it actually was. I did adjust to the truss rod. It was like 3 little, quarter tweaks here at the truss rod, just to flatten out the neck a little bit. The action came set up too high. There was too much relief in the neck out of the box, but that was a really quick and easy adjustment, and it brought the flatness of the neck right where I have the Eart. So now this guitar, the Xavier and the Eart, besides some other differences, play very, very similar now, and they're really dialed into my own personal preferences as far as how I like guitars to be set up. The Eart out of the box was set up actually way too fast. So I actually gave it more neck relief and a little bit higher action because I'm not a shredder. And I don't need my strings to be, tissue paper distance away from the frets or anything like that. But yeah, I'm very impressed, like how close they feel, how close they play now, just from maybe an hour and a half's worth of me spending time dialing it in, doing a setup on my own time. And I think it just goes to show like how much a setup factors in for a guitar being good or not. Like out of the box, if I compared them both out of the box, it would have been like, oh yeah, the Eart is the clear winner. But now that I've done the same setup on both of them to bring them to my personal specs, I honestly don't know. I don't know which one is the winner yet. I actually put together a little checkmark sheet here to try to help me decide which one is the winner and which one is the loser. There's certain things that right off the bat I think are better about one or the other, but they're so kind of evenly matched and some of the elements are so subjective that I've personally been really wrestling with this. I don't know which one I would pick. I think I can clearly say that I would recommend them both to anyone shopping for, an affordable Strat style guitar. I could easily recommend both these guitars. I don't think either one of them is a dud. They're both studs, but which one is going to win? Now that I've got it dialed in, I'm going to play it a little bit, and we'll do some pickup sound comparisons and stuff like that. I will say that first impressions on these pickups were a little bit mixed from me. The bridge pickup is really super bright, and then the middle and the neck are noticeably smoother and darker. But I honestly think that means it's just closer to being a normal Strat than the Eart is. The Eart has a kind of darker sounding pickup range, maybe a more modern sounding pickup. The Xavier has Alnico magnet pickups in it, and they are model pickups that GFS sells individually. They're not some sort of, kind of very cheap, bargain bin pickup that they just threw in there, where the pickups in this honestly sounded pretty much exact to the pickups that were in that mono price, the Indio. I couldn't remember the name of it. That Indio guitar that it faced off against last time. That's the bridge pickup. So very different kind of feel from there. Here's the middle. The neck. I'm sure the neck and the middle are probably comparable, but the bridge pickup sound being so different is something to take notice of. Here, we'll just do a bridge pickup shootout with the same riffs. Now, way less twangy, but more modern. You know, I think the biggest difference between these two guitars is a matter of personal taste. Do you want a more modern take on a Strat, which is what you get with the Eart? Or do you want something that's more of a classic throwback, doing the traditional Stratty, bright bridge, twangy sort of thing? Then you would want the Xavier. Let's go through this sheet here, and I think that'll help keep me on track and keep me from getting, you know, too into the weeds. I could easily spend 2 hours filming this video, and I'm afraid that I still wouldn't be able to decide which one won. At the end, they honestly are really, really close, but they have differences, and those differences are going to matter to you if you're shopping between these two. Headstock first. We're going to start at the top. I much prefer the Xavier headstock. It's not a fully traditional Strat headstock, but it's going that direction. Yeah, I like it a lot better. I know that this is very close. The Eart is very close to a Shure headstock. I don't like Shure headstocks either. So just off of aesthetics, I'm picking the Xavier for the headstock. Some of these things here on the list, some of them are subjective and some of them are just observations of actual component quality. So headstock is obviously subjective, but Xavier's going to get it. Tuners. The Eart has very impressive tuners, in my opinion. They're really smooth. They feel really premium. I actually really like that they feel different. They have this really rounded, kind of smooth pebble feel. You know, like a river rock. They're smooth like a river rock. There's something very nice about them. I'm impressed with the tuners on the Eart. The tuners on the Xavier, they're just, you know, they're what you would expect on a budget guitar that has, you know, sealed machine tuners. They can be kind of jumpy in the middle when you're going back and forth. They're smooth and they're firm when you're going one direction, but in that middle, they can be a little bit jumpy and loose. The neck, this is so subjective. This is incredibly subjective. I think the necks are great on both of them. The Eart has a much more modern, smaller feeling profile to the neck. If you're a shredder or a modern player or something like that, you're probably going to prefer the Eart. Personally, I like the neck on the Xavier better. It fills my hand a little bit more. It's a little bit chunkier. I like the shape a lot. It's just much closer to the style of neck that I prefer for my own personal instruments. But it's very subjective, and they're both good. They're both great necks. I don't have an issue with either of them, so that one's going to be a tie. Frets. The Eart wins on frets. It just does. I don't mind the frets on the Xavier. I think they're just fine. I think you could compare them favorably to any Squier on the market. I have zero problem with those frets, but there's something about the frets on the Eart that is impressive. I'm going to say right now that there's people out there who think that the frets on this model Eart are stainless steel. I don't think they are. On the Eart website, they're listed as nickel silver. Somehow, the listing on Amazon ended up saying stainless steel. I don't think it's true for these frets, but it is impressive how mirror polished they are for a $200 guitar. They're mirror polished, and they have these really beautiful round ball ends on them. I did discover that the string can get caught on the 5th fret. It's just something you have to be aware of. You shouldn't be doing bends off your fretboard anyway. So it's important to, learn muscle memory to not make those mistakes. But I think objectively the frets are better on the Eart. So right now the Eart is ahead by 1. The nuts, I think they're the same. I think I got to score them the same. That's another tie. They're both cut about the same. I lubricated them both with the little lube syringe that comes with the D'Addario maintenance kit here. And any pinging and tinging disappeared. I've had about the same tuning stability across both guitars, even when I'm using the wiggle stick. The Eart's nut is cut a little bit closer to the fretboard, but I think you can chalk that up to style differences between a modern style playing guitar and a more vintage classic throwback style guitar. The bridge, I think objectively, by quality standards, the Eart has the better bridge. It's a more modern bridge. It's got these, really nice satin, chunky sorts of saddles on here. It just looks better. The fact that you can tighten the arm with an Allen key off the back of the bridge is a really wonderful kind of modern option. The bridge on the Xavier is a pretty standard, cheap Strat style bridge. It is nice that it has a big block. That Monoprice guitar from last time had a really razor thin, cheap block on it. Again, there's a difference between a modern style guitar and a classic style guitar, but I can say that I think the bridge is a better piece of hardware on the Eart. Pickups. The Eart has cheap ceramic pickups that are indistinguishable from that Monoprice Indio that I covered last time. The Xavier has GFS pickups in them, which are not expensive, but they are like 20-something bucks a piece. So there's $60 worth of pickups in here if you're judging it by GFS retail prices. You can go and look up the model numbers and find those individual pickups on GFS. They have that quick connecting, and they are Alnico pickups. You could argue that you prefer the sound of the pickups of the Eart over the Xavier, if that's your personal taste. You could also argue the other direction. After playing with them for a day and a half, I've come around to much preferring the pickups in the Xavier because it's doing that classic Strat thing. I can get a lot twangier on the bridge pickup, but I still have access to darker, smoother, more modern sounds on that middle and neck pickup. So I'm going to give the pickups to the Xavier. General quality control. I think the Eart had a lot better quality control out of the box. The Xavier, the jack was falling out when I pulled it out of the box. The setup was nowhere near as good out of the box. There's little kind of chips in the paint around the neck heel where, it's not ideal, but it's not a deal breaker. If you were shopping guitars in a store and there were two identical guitars, but one had the chips around the neck and the other didn't, you would obviously pick the one that didn't have the chips around the neck. They're so minor. They're so small. I didn't even notice them until this morning. But they are there. And that, the setup and the input jack falling out are quality control issues, even though they are all fixable very quickly on your own. So the Eart earns quality control. Playability, tie. Straight out tie. Like the playability just feels really similar to me across both of them. Most Strat-like. I think the Xavier gets it. It's just much closer to a Strat concept, where this is a modified, modern Strat concept. So, that's kind of silly, but this is Afford-A-Strat. I'm trying to find the best affordable Strat. And the Xavier is much closer to a core Strat concept. Pleasure factor. This is so subjective. This is me. The Eart plays in that really easy, modern sort of way. But I kind of interpret that as being bland. Where the Xavier does the bright, twangy, more exciting, edge of dangerous sort of thing. And so I'm going to give it the pleasure factor vote, because I'm having more fun playing the Xavier. I just am. But it's so subjective. It is so subjective. Looks. Also subjective. The headstock counts towards looks. I just love that finish. The Eart only comes in 3 colors. Sunburst, blue, and red. The colors are pretty boring. I don't remember what other colors Guitar Fetish has for these, but this gold sparkle. It wins. It wins in my heart. As far as looks go. All right. It's so close. It is so close. I feel nervous counting it. I didn't keep track, so I don't know which one won. The Eart gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, excluding the ties. The Xavier gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No! Did I count that right? I'll count all the points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I counted wrong somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How did I do this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I counted 1 extra on the Eart. Jeez. But that's crazy. They got so close to each other. But that really kind of demonstrates what I pointed out in my first coverage of the Eart and things I've said in other videos about it. There's a bunch of channels out there that have been covering these things and doing the YouTuber thing. They're like, oh man, it plays better than my buddy's, $2,700 this or that. Or, oh man, this is like a $1,000 guitar, blah, blah, blah. It is impressive. It has impressive details, but it is still at its core a $200 guitar. It punches above its price range, in my opinion. It plays more like a $275, maybe $300 guitar, depending on the brand. The brand can have a lot to do with that. You expect different things from different brands. But the fact that it is so close, subjectively and objectively, to another $200 guitar shows that I assessed it correctly, in my opinion. Like, there's $200 guitars out there that it compares favorably with, equally with, but on different metrics, There's so much... I hate to use the word again. I've probably said it 15 times already, but there's so much of a subjective nature to guitars as far as what you like or don't like. But as far as the quality of it all, and being able to recommend one guitar over the other, it really does come down to personal taste with these two. Do you want a modern version of a Strat with a smaller, faster neck and jumbo frets? That's the Eart. Do you want a more classic playing Strat with twangy pickups and, sparkly good looks and stuff like that? Also, like there's a looks element here that I didn't cover where this looks normal. All the plastics are the same color. Also, the pickups, you can tell that they're not as cheap because they don't have those chromed pulls. You can tell that they're not ceramic pickups just by looking at them. Where something funny about the Eart is no piece of plastic on it matches the color of another piece of plastic. I actually already swapped the knobs out because I really hated the stock knobs on the Eart. But the pick guard, the switch tip, the stock knobs it came with, and the wiggle stick tip, all different colored plastics on the Eart. So now that I've determined the winner, and of course, the loser of this particular Afford-A-Strat shootout, I've got to reveal how I'm going to give the loser to a winner. It could be you. You could win this guitar. I'm honestly feeling a little bit bummed out and sad that I am passing the Eart on to someone new. It's going to a new, loving home that's going to take care of it and have fun with it. I think it is a really good guitar for $200. There's parts of it that really impressed me. The tuner hardware, the bridge hardware, the way the frets are dressed. Those things really impressed me. For $200, I think it's an exceptional option. But I just honestly, sitting there playing them for the past day and a half, I couldn't decide. Which is why I made the little chart and decided by the numbers. And even then, like, it just barely crossed over the threshold of winning or losing. And someone else could come up with their own checklist of things that are important to them. And maybe the Eart would have won by a landslide. Or maybe the Xavier would have won much more dramatically or something like that. But for me, for my personal tastes, they were just so close. But in the end, there's a lot about this that connects with me better on a personal level. On a technical level, they're both very close, in my opinion, as far as being playable guitars that have good sounds and come in at like $200, give or take. So anyways, how are we gonna do this? How are you gonna get your hands on this particular Eart? Last time I did a thing where I had everyone go over to the Facebook group and post pictures of any bicycle they could find on the internet that they thought I would like. And we had a winner. David Luna won that mono-price guitar with this picture of a bicycle. I can't see it right now, but I'm still cracking up thinking about that furry bicycle. So what are we gonna do now? I'm gonna send you over to TikTok. I can already sense the complaining negative comments coming in right now. Oh, you're gonna make me go, I don't want to do TikTok, blah, blah, blah. And to everyone that feels like complaining right now, I just want you to know this is coming from the bottom of my heart. Shut up. I don't care if you don't want to compete. Other people do want to be part of this. And honestly, the biggest reason I'm going to use these contests to push people to other social medias and other things, other ways to kind of log people's entries and stuff like that, is because YouTube is kind of sucky for that. There's not a way for me to directly message someone on YouTube to get their shipping information and to let them know that they won. I can tell them in the comments. I can leave them a comment. Hey, you won. Here's my email address. Send me your address. The problem with that is that everyone can see it. And someone could try to take a chance and be like, well, if I get my information in before that person, he'll think that you know, I'm that person and then I'll scam that guitar. Like, it just makes me nervous. And there are ways in other social media platforms to directly message the winner. So that is honestly like my main reason for doing this. So sorry for the little preachy thing here, but you need to understand my reasoning before you go in the comments and complain because you don't have a Facebook account or you don't have a TikTok account or you're morally opposed to them for some reason. That's fine. That's all fine. But this contest is going to work with you going over to TikTok. I'll have a link to the post down below. You will see a picture of this jar of picks in that post. And you will make a guess. How many picks are in this little mason jar full of picks? I'm going to let people guess for a full day. And then at the end of the day, before I go to bed, the first person who guessed correctly or closest to correct is just going to win the Eart. It's that simple. So click the link down below, take a guess how many picks are in the jar, and you could win the loser. I hate to call it the loser because it's honestly so close. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude and nasty comments. Support the sponsor by clicking the links for D'Addario. They are very graciously covering all of the costs of producing this series. That means they're paying for the cost of me buying the guitar direct from the retailer. These guitars are not being sourced by retailers or the manufacturer or anything like that. It is coming to me with them assuming that I'm just any other consumer. They are also contributing a guitar maintenance kit, which is what I use to set up the guitars, and a 3-pack of the strings that I use. Oh, and also they pay for the shipping to get the guitar that you're gonna win to you, the winner. So huge thanks to D'Addario for making this all possible. And you know what? Stay grounded. Bye, everybody.